We often look for an external adversary to explain why our lives feel stalled. We point to the volatile economy, a difficult manager, or the systemic hurdles of society. But the most persistent friction doesn't happen in the streets or the office. It occurs in the quiet, unexamined spaces of our own psychology. This friction is generated by limiting beliefs, conclusions we've reached about ourselves that have never been put to the test. These beliefs run as silent scripts. I lack the talent. I am not worthy of success. Or someone like me will never get ahead. These internal narratives function as a ceiling. Our actual potential is capped not by our circumstances, but by the scripts we refuse to question. To escape this stagnation, we usually try to change our surroundings. We buy a new productivity software, move to a new city, or find a different job. But the internal scripts travel with us. If the underlying mental architecture remains unchanged, a new environment simply becomes a new place to experience the same old limitations. Lasting outward progress only begins once we commit to a deliberate internal pivot. This pivot is grounded in neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to physically reorganize itself. The human brain is a dynamic organ that reinforces its own pathways based on repeated thought and action. When we repeat cycles of self-doubt, we strengthen neural clusters, making it easier to fall into negative ruts. However, deliberate practice forces the brain to build new pathways. Old connections atrophy from disuse as efficient networks take over. Changing your mindset is a physical act. You are quite literally building the hardware for a different life. Modern neuroscience is only now confirming a sequence of change that was described centuries ago. The Quranic perspective on transformation is captured in Surah Ar-Ra'd, which outlines a specific order of operations for human progress. The verse notes that the condition of a people does not change until they first change what is within themselves. Empirical data and ancient theology reach the same conclusion. The internal shift is the necessary precursor to any measurable external result. To bridge the gap between biological theory and daily life, the SQSF Counseling Center uses a 7-tiered framework for internal development. The process starts with a secure foundation: faith, moral clarity, and mental health. With this stable core, the individual builds competence through academic, professional, and scientific skills. Finally, this internal strength radiates outward, improving family relationships and fostering social responsibility. This framework replaces aimless effort with a structured sequence, moving an individual from self-doubt to focused, effective action. When we scale this process, the implications go beyond personal success. Consider an individual who has replaced fear with purpose. They no longer avoid challenges, they solve them. They become a reliable neighbor, an ethical colleague, and a disciplined parent. They contribute more to their environment than they extract from it. As this happens across thousands of people, social friction decreases. Communities become more resilient because the individuals within them are no longer fighting internal wars of stagnation. National transformation is the aggregate result of these individual shifts. When the citizens rewrote their own minds for contribution and ethics, the nation follows. The evolution of our society doesn't start with a policy or a speech. It begins in the quiet of your own thoughts today. A better nation is the byproduct of a better mind. The revolution begins within.